Good morning.
Morning, everyone. So again, a very warm welcome to AOM sessions. So let us begin with mindfulness meditation like we always do to bring our senses back to this moment and get the best out of this session. So let us begin. Sit with your spine straight, feet firmly on the ground, slightly apart, and palms on your lap facing upwards. Breathe in and gently breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. Relax your scalp. Relax your forehead. Relax the back of your head. Relax your face. Relax your neck, your shoulders. Feel this relaxation flow through your arms, your chest. Your entire back is relaxed. Feel this relaxation move through your spine. Relax your abdomen, your hips. Relax your thighs, knees, calf muscles, your ankles. Relax your feet. Breathe in and gently breathe out. Breathe in and gently breathe out. You're now completely relaxed. And from this place of relaxation, drop within to that part of the body that is calm, centered, and peaceful. Bring your awareness to this part of the body. And once you reach there, feel the calm, feel the peace. And let it spread from that space and expand in your entire body, touching all the organs, filling every cell of your body with this calm and peace. And take a moment to experience this peace in your body. Breathe in and gently breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. From this place of calm and peace, let us invoke the divine, whether you call it God, universe, nature, or just energy, whatever you look up to. Let us invoke that divine spirit. Divine Father, Divine Mother, Guru Dattatreya, Mahaguruji, Mailing Master of Oksui, all the great masters and holy saints, all the bodhisattvas, all the archangels and spiritual helpers, all the beings of light. We invoke your divine blessings, divine healing, and divine protection to help us learn, grow, from this spiritual experience. In full faith, so be it, and so it is. With this knowing in your heart, bring your awareness back to the room. Rub your palms together. Place them on your eyes. And when you're ready, open your eyes with a big, big smile. Welcome back, everyone. Hope you all are relaxed, calm. Today, this week, we have a very esteemed guest who is a Sufi mystic. Diyanat Ali is an outdoorsman, adventurer, educator, facilitator, and a human potential coach. But more importantly, he's a salik, wayfarer on Ser Vasaluk, spiritual wayfaring. Hailing from a traditional Hyderabadi family of Sayyids practicing tasawwuf, Islamic mysticism, since generations. He has traveled extensively through India, Iraq, Iran, learning and discovering the principles and practices of the esoteric parts of spiritual wayfaring in the Sufi Iranian traditions. Diyanat conducts the traditional zikr ceremony involving active meditation with movement, rhythm, whirling, sound, silence, drumming, and breath work, which enables feeling states of oneness, wonder, bliss, love, ecstasy, and surrender. Diyanat also founded the Great Hyderabad Adventure Club in 2008 to promote an active outdoor lifestyle for Hyderabad. He formed OutLife in 2012 to promote the concept of experiential learning to school education and corporate training. Diyanat also started Selfcraft in 2019 to facilitate retreats that help with self-discovery and personal transformation. He embodies the principles of the Sufi tradition of personal presence, acceptance, love, kindness, and remembrance in his personal and professional life. Welcome, Ali.
Thank you, Malika. Good morning, Khusham to all members here. It's a pleasure to see you on a Sunday morning. I really appreciate, I'm very grateful for your presence over here. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. So, Ali, you have a very impressive profile. And I met Ali, I think, close to 2 years back. I'm not sure. Yeah. So, at an event. And since then, it has been a very association. I personally have learned a lot, and I really enjoy sessions which are so informative and so deep and so to the point and very realistic wisdom. So I'm grateful that you joined us today. So please talk to us about your journey in spirituality.
My journey started 20 years back when I was working in an IT company. Just like how everyone has big hopes, you do your engineering MBA, then you look for a great future traveling all countries. And in midst of after 5-6 years, I started questioning: is this work meaningful for me? And somewhere there was inner voice. So I was a very good performer, but this inner voice was saying that this is not something that you love. And I'm always reminded of my own association with nature and how I used to go around playing with rocks, a lot of pets, climb trees, and all. There was a spiritual element in that childhood aspect of connecting with nature. And in this very artificial world of technology and people and work. Somewhere the heart was questioning again and again, and I was somewhere entangled in the system, and it was not easy to come out. And that's where I started planning. It took me 2 to 3 years to decide and plan and come out. And one day I decided in 2011 that I would just step down. I was not sure what I will do next. However, there was great hope in my heart that there's something that I'll do. And the first thing that came up for me was adventure. And I started going out doing trips, treks, mountaineering, and all. In between, there was very special events that I used to do with very few people. I would go to very remote virgin jungles, stay there for 5 6 days, and most of the stay was just get immersed in nature, just do meditation, stay there, and there was something that was happening to me there. Something was opening within, and every time I frequented to the same forest or different forest, just sit beside a stream, listen to nature's voice. Something was opening in me, and I didn't understand what it was. However, it was very, very addictive. And then I started speaking to people. A lot of people were not able to make sense of it. They said, "Okay, you might be, engaged with nature." I didn't have words for it, and that is where I started reading a lot of spiritual books, and started taking a lot of spiritual masters. It's a journey of exploration, discovery, and the first master I found was in 2016, and he was a tantric and a Vedic master. I did almost 2 3 retreats with him, and he said to me that follow your heart. And inherently, I could recall my own practice at home with my father, where we used to do zikr, and that started making meaning. It from plain rituals and chants, it started connecting to my heart, and I started asking what's more in this heart. And that's where I called my grandfather, who is in Iran, and I discussed with him at length. So then he said, "Come over here. I'll put you in touch with people who are on this path." And that's where in 2017 I went to Iran and Iraq. Was there for 2 months, met various masters, learned the traditions, and when I came back, I started sharing these traditions over here with groups, and that's where I was able to open up my own inner heart and connect with people. And these aspects of oneness, that all hearts are one, is what I experienced in the Zik the first time, where there's no separation. Although we might see each other differently through different religions or different colors, different education. However, that space where everything merges together, there is no separation, that's such a beauty in that space, and I always long for that space. And that's the true nature of our being, our presence, where everything becomes one. So that's my journey, and it's still continuing. I'm still doing Sarva Suluk. Sarva Suluk is basically you're traveling on the inner path, and just like how there are outer jungles, there are outer challenges, there are inner challenges, and these challenges are more around creating acceptance uh, about self-awareness, awareness of the world, and which we call also the path of the nafs. There are 7 paths in the Sufi tradition, and each path is trying to bring an awareness and acceptance. The idea here is not to accumulate, but reduce, to become a faultless. And in the Sufi path, they say that the spirit or the Ruh is wholesome. It has everything that God has already given to it. All it has to do is remove the veils it has built on, the conditioning that we have built on in this world. And once we're able to do that, what we find is a wholesome, beautiful presence that doesn't require anything from anywhere else. It has all the gifts within. So that's my path. Thank you, Malika, for asking such a beautiful question, and I love each time I share this.
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. And I like what you said. Usually, people think spirituality is all about finding something, and what in reality is to uncover or to remove the layers that we have created because of the conditioning and just go back to that um, deeper self, which is already there with you, which is already there. So, spirituality is the inner journey. So, thank you so much for reminding that. Um, so, today's topic is awareness. So, could you please throw some light on that?
Yeah. So awareness, although it's something that we think we know, it's a journey for me. And I'm going to talk from my own experience, both from a psychological perspective of how science sees it and how the Sufi spiritual path sees it. And when I look at how science defines it, science limits awareness to the perception, sensory perception, and to how our brain perceives information and processes it in various ways, whether it's the unconscious, the subconscious, or the conscious. And then there are different levels of awareness based on which type of mind you're connecting with. So that's a very psychological perspective, and it has a way of how do we connect with form. And the spiritual path also looks at form, which is the material that we see and sense. However, it also looks at the formless, which the science has not discovered yet. And the formless is the energy or the spirit, something that we perceive so deeply and something that we cannot define, but we can feel it. One example of formless would be our own presence. When we say, "Who am I?" What is that aspect? Or when I look at something, for example, when I look at the screen and when I look at all these beautiful faces out here, the beautiful presence, who is it that is observing? Is it the mind? Brain? So those are some questions that the spiritual paths unravel. And the path is through understanding, through an experience. All mystical paths basically call for an experience. So first there is an experience, there is an exploration, there's a discovery, which leads to understanding and acceptance. So that is the path we will experience today, and some of these aspects of awareness has to be fully experienced. I'm going to bring both the aspects of science and spirituality together so that it completes our picture. Since we have been educated in the science path, and our language that we exchange is more around the form part. We always look at forms. We never talk about the formless. It is very rare that somebody will talk about the formless. Maybe you, when you go to the masjid, or when you go to the temple, or maybe when you're away from the city, then you might, become aware of your own essence, or you might become aware of the nature's essence, or you might connect with other formless things out there. And why we don't talk about formless is because in our culture it is not there. Our education system doesn't talk about formless. There's a separation between form and formless, and whatever is apparently visible, we focus more on that, and whatever is not visible to the eyes, we don't really think about it. However, every day we feel our own essence, we feel our feelings, we feel through our needs. However, there's a beautiful consciousness inside us that helps us with all these awareness. So I think it will be good now to connect with our heart. And I really thank Malika for walking us through a beautiful meditation to connect with our body, with our hearts and spirit. And I will walk you through a quotation of uh, Rumi, and I'll also play a music that will help us connect with the heart. And why do we start with the heart? Heart is something that bridges the form and the space. form and the formless together. It's the center of this world and the other world. It brings the spirit world and the material world together, and it engages with both of them. And that's where also a home of the divine. Because every time we feel, every time we sense, we always connect with our hearts. And when we want to connect with somebody else, we connect with their hearts. So this is the exchange of the divine spirit. Just how we have energy, our heart has this divine energy within. I'm going to quickly share my screen, and then I'll share this music, and we will stay with it. Give me a few seconds while I run this. Just a minute.
I remember we did a small zikr ceremony last time in one of the sessions, and it was, even though it was online, and Ali kept insisting that it should be done in person, but it was a profound experience, and our viewers really loved it and enjoyed that process.
Are you able to see my screen?
Lots of hearts.
Yes. So we will start with a quotation of Rumi. Tend to a vital heart, and all that you worry about will be solved. So one aspect of getting to the awareness of the heart is it brings us in touch with our own essence. It also brings us in touch with the divine essence. At the same time, it connects us with what is there in our surroundings. And it's a beautiful place which brings in all these aspects of our life, both the form and formless. And to get into the awareness of the heart, I will invite you to close your eyes and keep your hand on your heart. I'm going to play a music for you. And as you focus on your heart, feel the touch of your hand on your heart. Bring your attention to your heart and what is alive for you in this moment. and very become aware of your own inner presence. Your heartful presence, and slowly and whenever you're ready and back, just give me a thumbs up sign. Take your own time. And while we wait for others, also observe the silence within and without. Let's discuss a little more around our inner awareness and our outer awareness. Most of the times, as humans, we are more focused on the outer than in the inner. And the outer awareness is more around very minimal awareness. Most of the times we are task driven. We are focused on what needs to be done, and that minimal awareness on task doesn't allow our mind, our heart to fully connect with what is out all there and what is within us. And in a minimal awareness, a task driven awareness doesn't also allow us to connect within. Then the other awareness, which broadens out, is the perceptual awareness. We're able to connect with our surroundings. Be aware of where we are, what sounds we're hearing, and what is the intensity of the light, what am I smelling. So perceptual awareness is more around what we perceive through our senses, and it's a higher form of awareness than the minimal awareness. And it helps us connect both outside and what is happening in our body. What are we feeling? How's the temperature? How's the external environment affecting us? And then we have the reflective awareness, or the thought based awareness, or the mindful awareness, which basically processes and connects with the external world and the internal world. And it's more around reflecting on what I am seeing so that I create meaning from my environment. I create meaning from what I'm experiencing. So, this is an approach of how science also helps us understand both perceptual awareness and thought based awareness or reflective awareness. When you look at a spiritual path, there we bring the aspect of formless, or the consciousness, the observer who perceives, or the observer who reflects. So let's do a very small exercise around how we perceive our environments. So my invitation is, let's connect with our environment, and I will guide you through this process. Just become aware of where you are, what is the temperature, is it colder, is it hotter. Observe all the sounds that you're hearing. The sound of the AC, could be sound of the fan, could be sounds of distant traffic, sounds of people speaking. Everything that you hear is sound, nothing is noise. Observe. And also bring your attention to the intensity of light that you see in your room. See how is this light traveling inside and outside? Is this light coming from outside to in or inside to out? Is this light coming from a light bulb, a tube light, or is it a natural light of the sun? Can you also observe the flow of the wind around you? How is it touching your skin? Now gently bring your awareness to any corners of your room. And as you look at these corners, observe them gently. Maybe you have not seen them with this focus earlier. And look at one corner. Notice if you see any intersection there. Do you see some lines meeting at a point at that corner. Maybe we haven't looked at like this before. Just look around your room. See what are different patterns, what are different colors. See all the geometric shapes. What are they? How are they? And observe the gaps, large gaps. And become aware of the space that each of these objects occupy, your body occupies. And I invite you to, as you look into the space, also look at boundaries. What is separating your room from the other room? How are boundaries affecting the space? And gently look around and bring your focus on something that is beautiful in your room. It could be a picture, it could be a color, it could be a book, whatever comes to your mind. Just keep your attention on it and savor the beauty of it. Whether you love its shape, whether you love its color, whether you love its aesthetics, gently connect with it. And as you connect with it, also connect within and see how this beautiful thing is connecting within. What is the exchange? How are how is your heart perceiving it? And then gently bring your awareness back to your environment. Again, bring your focus to the sounds you were hearing. Bring your focus to the light, the intensity of the light, the natural light. Look around all shapes, sizes, the gaps between these shapes to a presence here, togetherness that all of us bring here. Reflect on how is this perceptual awareness, what was new for you? Maybe connect. They have a spirit, and that spirit is alive with your attention, with your connection, with your love that you exchanged with it. And how is this awareness for you? What meaning does it has? What significance does it has? Ponder on these things, and as thoughts comes to you, you may type it in the chat box. If anybody would like to share feeling of connecting with your surroundings. And as you share, I will also invite your attention to our own inner awareness, the awareness of connection with. So bring your attention to all your. While you hear my voice, bring your attention to your feeling, whatever is alive for you, your variety of feelings. Do an inquiry on awareness. And this inquiry we will do by looking into our own consciousness. And we would like to define what awareness is through our own internal experience. Just how we connected with our environment, how we can also connect within. So gently bring your focus on your breath. Inhale and exhale deeply and slowly. And as you connect with your breath, ask this question: what is awareness? And who's being aware? And as you breathe in and out, become aware that the breathing is not constant. It changes. Also connect with the pause in between your breathing. A gentle pause. What is awareness? And who's being aware? Bring your attention to the sensations in your body. Observe your body from head to toe. What are you sensing? Maybe there are sensations around your head, your face, sensations of movement as you breathe, sensations in your hand and feet as you become aware. Question: what is awareness? And who's being aware? And you observe the sensations also change, they're not constant. Let's connect with our feeling. Maybe our feeling can tell us about awareness because it always tells us about what is happening. Let's connect with the feeling in our heart. Maybe it's peaceful, maybe there is calm. Let's connect with the feeling in the rest of our bodies. How does it feel in the hand? How does it feel in the head? How does it feel in my feet? And maybe there's a mix of feelings that keep eyes with each moment. And as feelings change, they also not constant. So a feeling can be constant. And let's question, what is awareness and who's being aware? Maybe let's ask our mind. It has answers. It always gives us answers. Let's focus back on our mind. And a good point to connect with the mind is our third eye, the eye that sees beyond. And let's enter the mind from that space and ask this question, what is awareness? And as we ask, let's be aware of what are the thoughts, what are some pictures, images that come to mind when we talk about awareness, what is the experience, what has the mind to say about awareness. Maybe it has a definition, maybe an explanation, a very personal, subjective understanding, and whatever answer it gives you, ask for more and see, can it tell you more about awareness? Notice all the thoughts, images that come to you. And if you notice, even the mind has a lot of answers to what is awareness. It is also changing. It is also not constant. Let's continue our inquiry and see, who can we ask? Maybe our consciousness. There's something that is perceiving the mind, the heart, something in us that feels the feelings, senses the body, sees the mind and its thoughts. Let's connect with this consciousness and ask, what is awareness? And who's being aware? Maybe our consciousness has an answer. And as we ask, who's being aware. Let's focus on this who. Is it a self? Is it a spirit? Is it something else? Is it a presence? Is it a beingness? From here, even I don't know. How do I find awareness? Because here I sense I am myself the awareness that is aware of everything else. And maybe my answers will come from here, from my own being, from my own presence. And maybe it does not need to be defined in words because I can experience it. It is within, both in form and in formless. Take a few moments to come back from this inquiry and reflect. How was this inquiry based awareness where you asked and connected with many aspects that define who we are? And did we find our own answers to what is awareness? Maybe we did, or maybe it opened up a new idea or a new space. And there would be some curiosity and exploration to delve further into these aspects of both awareness of form, formless. And as you reflect on this aspect, I would also like to bring your attention on something called oneness. When the entire world and the world within comes together in the same spirit, in that oneness, there is no separation. And maybe as we connected, we are able to touch this oneness within, to connect with the spirit that manifests our consciousness, everything that is there. And if you have any reflection or thought that, and let's take about 30 seconds of silence with ourselves and we hold awareness of form and formless, within and without. And just stay with ourselves and our reflections. And as you are aware of these thoughts, I would also invite you into a moment called the present moment. From a spiritual perspective, when we look at moments, there are no moments. There is only one moment, and that's the moment of timelessness. What the mind perceives as time is just interval between events. And from awareness perspective, there is only one moment in which life emerges, life changes, and that's the present moment, which we also call here and now. In this here and now awareness, we always in touch with oneness and our own being, the spirit that connects with the form and the formless. A question might come up. It's good to talk about awareness and good to experience awareness. But how do I bring this awareness to my day-to-day life? How do I practice this? Do I have to always come to such sessions? Do I have to plan? Do I have to practice? The easiest moment that is available to get into awareness is the here and now. And to get there, all we have to do is connect to a perceptual awareness of our environment, external environment, and to our internal environment. External environment in terms of what is out there, using our senses and connecting what's within by using our intuition, our feelings, our needs. And when we do this, we enter the now moment where everything is emerging and we can become witness. Now, I would also like to share about the Sufi practice of awareness. There's a sevenfold path. And as I talk about this sevenfold path, I would also like to read out about consciousness from Rumi's Masnavi. Consciousness sleeps in minerals, dreams in plants, wakes up in animals, and becomes self-aware in humans. So the entire, I would say, purpose of being human is becoming self-aware of ourselves and everything else that is in spirit. The seventh path is taken from the Quran, and it invites on the path of Sayr wa Suluk, or the inner journey, which is also called the path or the tariqa. And every path has a lot of values that brings up awareness, a lot of practices that increases awareness. The entire focus is just building up awareness, broadening the awareness, bringing effortlessness so that we return to our true nature, which is also called the fana, dissolving in the spirit of oneness or God. So taking a metaphor of the ocean, that if everything comes from motion, if all of us are drops of water or traveling to different ways, maybe in the clouds, maybe in the rain, small streams, rivers, all of us end up back into the ocean. So this journey of fana is also tied with something called baka. Baka is to be always in divine presence. So that's the aim of the salik, to leave everything behind, to leave everything that is non-real and be with the divine that is real, which is also called the haq or the truth. So everything else that comes from the divine is also truth. However, the everlasting truth is the divine itself. So quickly looking at these seven paths, and each of them, as we create awareness, the struggle is in the self. One is looking into oneself and saying, how do I remove these veils? How do I remove this conditioning that is stopping me from becoming aware of my true nature, of my true self? And there are various practices that are there. And as per the Quran, the nafs is a combination of my spirit with the material world. And when this combines in a human form, it gives rise to a lot of traits that we acquire from these elements of nature, because human is a mix of spirit of God and elements of nature. And there are a lot of attributes that one has to overcome in each of these seven paths. There is no time limit in terms of how, and you're your own judge in terms of where you are. In this path, we always work with a master. The master is someone who's enlightened on this path, who has been on this path for 30, 40 years, and he's the one who handholds you in this tradition. And a lot of practices, zikr is one of this practice that most of the Sufis do. And some Sufis are very dedicated. They stay in khannakas. Khannakas are schools. It's called a Sufi school, where they spend time with the master. And the master there would be someone who has spent 70 to 80 years. And then it's called the Grand Master. And then you have the master. And then you have guides. And that's how the entire tradition works. However, we are also bestowed with something called the ilham. Ilham is the divine inspiration that comes directly from God. We can directly connect with God through our own heart and get guidance from there. So some of the practices that we do on the Sufi path is also connecting to our inner voice, which is called Nafs al-Mulhima. And each of these nafs are very documented. And if you also look at Rumi's poetry, it talks about this path. If you also look at Hafiz poetry, it talks about this path. And it's an esoteric path. It is also a hidden path. And therefore, you'll not find a lot of people talking about Sufi mysticism. It's an inner call. And when people get that call, you do a very personal practice. You don't go out there and share or tell Sufi that I'm a Sufi mystic. In fact, in the tradition, they say that don't say that you're a Sufi against the tradition of the path, because that will bring in pride, or you want to show yourself in some light. So be who you are, and people will connect with your energy and nature. You don't have to say it. It is visible in your energy. People will know it anyway. So that's one of the paths. However, this path is a struggle, because one is fighting oneself. There is nothing external to fight. The way we look at it is, in broad terms, if I have to explain this path, there is a false self. The false self is conditioning or the beliefs that I've acquired. Then there's a personal self or the egoic self that has aspirations and it is neither good nor bad, but helps us live this life. It is necessary to live this life. Without it, it's difficult to live this life in this world. And there is the essential self. The essential self is our true nature or the being or the presence. And everything that we manifest in this world is shade from the energy of the being. And when we connect with the being, therefore, we are able to manifest with abundance truth and love. The invitation here is always to take support of love. Love is a nature of true nature of us. It's also an attribute of the divine. When we say Rahman and Rahim, the metaphor there is that the cosmos is a womb. Rahm is also called in Arabic a place of rest or the womb, and the cosmos is the womb. And Rahim is the caretaker, someone who takes care of the womb. Also coming to an awareness that we always taken care by the divine, whether we are aware or not. It doesn't distinguish, it doesn't judge whether you believe in divine or not. The love is so intense that it provides everything. It shares out of its own sweat. The ultimate part of the awareness is moving on these spaces where you come to Nafsal, Kamila, or the perfect or the pure self. And that is where you lose all veils and you're able to merge with the divine essence. You are no more, but you are in the divine, which is the state of Fana. And from there, you come back again to serve the world from a space of your heart. Having discovered the truth, then you share. And there are a lot of such mystics who has gone and who are on this earth who continue to do that, to come back and share. And when we read their poems and poetry, we are able to connect with their journey of awareness and what are they trying to invite us without telling us directly, but giving an indication because all mystical paths, there is a mystery behind it, and that's what connects us to the heart. And what we need is heart on this path, where the mind becomes a slave and the heart is the master. The mind will not be able to walk this path. It will be scared, it will be afraid. The heart will be able to do it because it knows this path, it knows its by lanes. It has been there before, it has come from there, and it will throw the light. So that's a little perspective on the awareness of the path. And as I see it, uh, most of the paths almost similar, almost similar. All of them meet at same space of oneness, where there is no separation. It doesn't matter which path you come from. All paths are beautiful. All paths lead you to the same place. I would like to see if there are any questions for me, and would like to also hear what's alive in you. How is your awareness now?
Thank you for the beautiful experience, Ali. Especially the meditation you have taken us through. Yeah, it's so often that we go by life so manually, and we don't pay attention to the little things that surround us. And today, when you actually asked us to notice everything around you, the shapes, the space, and everything. Yeah, I think some things around my house I noticed after a long time. So thank you for that. I request participants, if you have any questions, please do share in the chat box. Otherwise, I believe Ali has been very, very elaborate and meticulous in explaining every step. So anticipating all the questions, you have answered them in advance. But still, if participants have any more questions, please write. Yeah. Okay, so they're saying thank you for the guidance. We appreciate it. Fantastic. So Ali, once again, thank you so much for taking us through this process and also explaining to us the beautiful Sufi tradition and philosophy. I'm really, the last Excel sheet that you have shown, that's very interesting. And I wish in another session, if you can elaborate on each of those and explain. So once again, thank you for joining us today. And
Thank you, Malika. I would also like to share some of those aspects of how do we be in awareness. So one is I shared about being in here and now. Second is accepting everything with non-judgment. And when we try to practice these two things, we always in awareness. Thank you.
yeah, thank you so much for that thought. And thanks to all the participants who have joined today. So stay calm, stay peaceful, and stay safe. I'll see you next week.
Thank you, Malika. Take care. Bye-bye.